Hello and welcome to the Festive Savvy Corner. My name is Alisa and I'm a financial coach and consultant based in the UK. If you're new here, welcome. I make videos about personal and business finances, financial well-being and money mindset. If you're not new, hi, and thanks for stopping by again. Some of my previous videos have focused on bad money habits and lifestyle inflation and their negative influence on our finances. Today, I want to look at what we can do to improve our financial situation through adopting good money habits. We are going to talk about 6 good money habits to consider implementing in 2020 or whenever you're watching this video. Let's jump straight in. Up to 40% of the actions we do every day are habits. They happen automatically. This is because our brains are trying to save time and energy by learning some behaviors and performing certain actions in the same way over and over again. Some of these habits work in our favor, and the fact that they are a learned behavior allows us to focus our attention on other things, like driving whilst at the same time paying attention to the traffic and having a conversation with someone else in the car. But what if these habits are not serving us? Imagine having a financial goal you'd like to reach, but your efforts throughout the month are sabotaged by your purchasing habits on payday. Then we have a problem. Why do you think so many New Year financial resolutions don't get achieved? It's because people are trying to get to a result despite their habits, which is extremely hard to do. So I'd like to suggest that we start with addressing our money habits first, assess which ones are serving us and which ones are working against us, and take it from there. I won't talk about bad money habits again. You can go and watch my previous video for that, which I will link for you. But I will suggest 6 good money habits you can look at adopting. I will list them in order of difficulty if you want. So from the easiest one to implement to the more difficult ones. The first good money habit is to make a list for your grocery shopping and only buy the things on the list. When I say groceries, I include cosmetics, toiletries, cleaning products for the house, and of course, food and drinks. Oftentimes we get distracted when we go to the supermarket because we see all these things that are on sale or on offer, and we start to convince ourselves that we need them. Perhaps not for now, but for sure in the future. It's always good to have spares in the cupboard, isn't it? Well, yes and no. Buying extra means that we'll have spares if we need them, but we also risk throwing away a lot of food or expired items, forgetting that we have them in the first place and therefore buying more and ending up with too many spares that clutter our homes. Sticking to a list means that you will avoid the clutter and avoid spending the extra money on things that you probably don't need. So perform an audit of your fridge, your cupboards, your cabinets, and decide which are the things you really need to buy, and then stick to that list. A few things which you want to consider that might make this habit easier. Don't go shopping when you're hungry. Grab one of those handheld scanners so you can always see how much you're spending. And if you don't think you can trust yourself with keeping to the list only, then consider shopping online. The second habit requires an easy calculation upfront and then referring to this figure every time you buy something. Let me give you an example. Let's say that your income or salary is $2,700 per month after tax. So we're talking net figures here. If you work 40 hours per week, and we assume there are 4.5 weeks in a month, then you'll be working for 180 hours every month. For those 180 hours, you are getting paid $2,700, which is the equivalent of £15 an hour, again, after tax. Once you've calculated this figure, the habit is to always think about how the price of an item translates into how long you have to work for it. In this example, buying something for £15 is 1 hour's worth of work. But something which costs £120 is the equivalent of a day's work, because you'll have to work 8 hours to earn that £120. When you start looking at purchases like this and compare them with your hourly income figure, it really puts things into perspective. This is for discretionary expenditure, the one you can get away with not buying. You can, of course, perform the calculation for your rent or mortgage, but you won't have the option to decide it's too expensive and therefore you don't want to pay for it anymore. But it works really well with other items. The third good money habit to consider is to check your bank balance regularly. I don't mean just looking at the balance, but checking your bank statements and looking for patterns. You might be surprised how many times you go into your favorite shop just to browse, and you end up leaving with a small purchase. Doing that several times a week can add up to a few £100 per month. It's also a good idea to look for automatic charges on your statements, such as subscriptions and memberships, and ask yourself, one, if you're using them, and two, if they bring you value. And if the answer is no, to stop those payments. This takes me to habit number 4, which is budgeting. Many people confuse budgeting with a restrictive list of what you're allowed to buy and how much you're allowed to spend on it. Budgeting, if done correctly, is not about restriction, but about allocating a task to every pound that you earn. It's about setting priorities for yourself and using budgeting to make sure that your finances are supporting those priorities. When you budget, you still have the same amount of money available to spend as you did when you weren't budgeting. The difference is that the money will be allocated in a very intentional way, depending on your goals and your priorities. So instead of thinking about it as a restrictive tool, why not see budgeting as an enabling tool? Something that allows you to reach your goals faster without neglecting your other financial commitments. The fifth good money habit to consider is to pay yourself first. What this means is that when you receive your salary or your other income, before you do anything else with that money, you automatically transfer some of it to a different account. That can either be your savings account, your private pension pot, your investment account, whatever you wish. The idea is that you prioritize paying yourself before paying for other expenses or paying anyone else. This habit is extremely difficult to implement if you don't have a budget in place, so I highly recommend doing that beforehand. That is because essentially what you're doing is not waiting until the end of the month to see what's left for you in your bank account, but you allocate this money as soon as you receive it. So it's really important to know what your financial commitments are when you do this. You don't want to allocate this money and then have to dip back into it because you underestimated how much your monthly expenses will be. Perhaps the biggest effect this has on people is a shift in their mindset. When you start paying yourself first, you treat yourself like you're important, like your own goals and values are important. And if you do it for long enough, you start to believe it because it's true. And this shift in mindset creates some really fantastic results that I've seen in my clients, and you should definitely try it. And finally, the sixth good money habit to consider is investing. The idea that people need a lot of money to invest is a myth. These days, you can start investing with as little as a few pounds just by rounding off your debit card expenses, and you can have an app invest that for you. There are plenty of apps out there, robo-advisors, and other low-cost platforms that allow you to invest without having to spend a lot of money or having extensive knowledge about shares and about the market in general. I don't want to go into details about this in this video, but I will link a few resources below for you to read in your own time. As you can see, I'm a big fan of investing, and it's something you should consider too as a habit to implement when your financial situation is in a good state. If you're not at that stage yet, keep working on eliminating bad money habits, replacing them with good ones, and gradually improving your behavior and your bank balance. Feel free to watch some of my previous videos for inspiration. Why not start with the 2 that are suggested on the screen now? That's it from me for today. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more money-related content, please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new ones. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.